Time to Shine Today podcast varsity squad. It is Scott Ferguson, and my good friend Bertha Medina hooked me up with my other now good friend Marcus Rixon. His story is fantastic. I waited way too long to get this episode out to you guys, and I apologize to you guys and to Marcus for this. But Marcus is the president of Rixon Entertainment Group, and Rixon is R-I-X-O-N. Rixon Entertainment Group, which is a front runner in today's world of entertainment, with roots in artist management, branding, social media, networking, distribution, and digital marketing. He works with clients to create a strategic plan for success. His clients include Punch Parade, Chris Bevins, Nathan Sheridan, Alyssa Turner, who she's one of my favorite, and Jay Spike. And Marcus, thank you so much for coming on. Please introduce yourself to the Time to Shine Today podcast varsity squad. But first, what's your favorite color and why?
My favorite color is red.
Red.
It's a color that just gets your attention straight away.
It does.
And I'm a big soccer fan, and my favorite team is Manchester United. And everything is
gotcha.
Red. So yeah, favorite color is red.
Squad, if you're watching, like red, I asked the color red for one. I'm going to do all the marketing in red for you, right? Yeah. Two, it's like I get a personality, but you're so chill, bro. Like red is kind of like the and the blue is kind of the chill. And like I was thinking you were going to say kind of a purple, but red's in your color wheel, brother. So that works for me too.
It's in my blood.
It's in your blood, my man. So that's funny, man. I know where you went with that. That's funny. So let's get to the origin story here, man. What got you from where you were, which I know, but I want you to share with the squad, what got you from where you were up to opening a highly sought after, artist management, branding, social media company?
So Marcus Rixon, president of Rixon Entertainment Group. We're based here in Nashville, Tennessee. Mm-hmm. I was born and raised in Calcutta, India. Calcutta, a pretty big city, 16 million people, a lot of people.
Wait a minute, you're Indian? I'm just kidding, squad. If you watch it on YouTube, you see it. But no, go ahead.
Calcutta. A lot of people know Calcutta via Mother Teresa. That's a home base where she's from, and I actually grew up catty corner to Mother Teresa's mission work. So super familiar with her and her work. So grew up in Calcutta, did not grow up in a very rich family. Matter of fact, our family was super poor. Grew up with my parents who had a 12 by 6 feet home, 12 feet by 6 feet.
Wow.
That is not big. And my mom and dad slept on the floor all my life, and me and my sister shared a bed. And they did everything to provide for me and my sister, but just financially, they didn't have the means to pull us out of there. And so they partnered up with they were approached by a nonprofit organization called One Child when I was like 3 years old or something. I was like, hey, there's a school down the street. We can help get a sponsor for your son to go to the school, and the sponsor pays for his education, meals, uniform, and a pair of shoes every year. Mm. So I had a sponsor 14 years that through this organization, and paid like $40 a month. Wasn't a lot of money. That helped me go to school, get a meal every single day, and take that burden off my parents. And my parents were working people. And so I was a sponsor kid. My sister was a sponsor kid. And that's how I got through high school, was going through a school that was started by some missionaries to help underprivileged kids. So that's my background. I came to the States about 11 years ago.
How old were you when you came to the States?
I was a little older. I was 21.
Okay, I want to know what happened between the time, though, like of kind of high school and that 21-year-old. Like, what did you continue education or what?
So from high school, during the 8th grade, I had these I think they were American missionaries had come and visited my school, and some of them were musicians, and they performed for a chapel service that I was attending in school. I was like,
this is a story I wanted to hear. Yep. Okay.
And I was like, what is going on here? This is so cool. And so I talked to my music teacher. I was like, wait, people get to travel and play music? What? Give me that insight. And he had a conversation. This was the 8th grade. He had a conversation with me like, yeah, along with just being a singer and songwriter, there are other ways to be a part of the music industry. And during the 8th grade, I was like, I want to be a part of the industry. I love music. I grew up with my mom playing the radio every night at home. We didn't have a television, so music was an escape from me, from my house that was 12 feet by 6 feet wide. When I listened to things, I was in a different space. So I loved everybody from Elton John to the Eagles to the Beatles, anything that the radio played. I just loved the Western music. So in the 8th grade, I was like, how do I learn more about this? So I started helping the audiovisual team at my school to set up for any events that they had. I just volunteered. There wasn't even a position. And I got to meet a lot of great people that were either musicians, speakers, or some way kind of learn about the industry. And I was like, okay, I want to be a sound guy. So I figured it out before like it was the 11th grade. I was not going to be a sound guy. But it was as expensive for me to go to a school in Bombay or Mumbai, India. That's the same name. It's like the Hollywood of India. Then for me to come to the States, it's so expensive to live there. And I was like, I came from a poor family. There's no way this is even going to be possible. So I graduated out of high school, and I wasn't interested in going to medical school or going to engineering school. I wanted to learn about music and sound, and India didn't have a lot of resources. An alum from the university that I attended in Kentucky called Asbury University had come down to work with Mother Teresa's mission work, and was walking down the street and ran into my dad and mom and my parents at that point in time in the little that we have. They had a street program that were feeding 250 kids on the street 5 days a week through their funds and through our family's funds, just to provide meals for these kids. Right. So this alum from Asbury decided, hey, I want to be a part of this. So he decided he wanted to sell his home and house in Bunkerville, Illinois, and move to India. And he did. And he's been in India for over 15, 18 years. I can't even remember at this point in time. When he came back to the States, he asked my dad, can you come with me and help me move all my assets and do all these things? So they came to the States, and on their way to Illinois, or vice versa, they drove through Wilmore, Kentucky. That's where Asbury University was involved. Gets involved. They were breaking ground on a new building, and my dad and the alum ran into the president and the dean of media communications. And while talking, they would say, yeah, we're going to put in a music studio. There's going to be a film studio. There's going to be a radio station. And my dad was like, that's what my son wants to do. So I was out of school for about 2 years at this point in time, just helping my parents back home. My dad was in construction, and I kind of oversaw some of those things. And I get a call from my mom saying, hey, your dad just asked if we can fax over your transcripts. I was like, okay. So I faxed over my transcripts to his number, and then he said, hey, this was for this university that has a music program. A month later, I get an email saying, you've been accepted to Asbury University in Wilmore, Kentucky. And I was like,
that's awesome, man.
Long story short, I still couldn't afford to come to school because it's expensive. And my parents could afford that. But the president's email used to be on the university's website. And my dad would be the one with my mom writing emails, be like, hey, my son would love to go. He's really talented. And he would write letters like grandma would write letters, like they're 2 or 3 pages long, to the point where you cannot find the university's president's email on the website anymore, because my parents wore them out. But between the president and the admissions department, they figured out to give me a good amount of scholarship, where I was able to get my resources put together in India. And then I worked during the summers on the university as a carpenter and never left. So I was the assistant carpenter. I did HVAC. I did any maintenance work at the university to help pay the rest of my bill off. So that's how I even landed up going to college and learned about music and sound and and TV and film, things like that.
Awesome. So as we fast forward then, like, how did we really kind of launch Rixon Entertainment?
Yeah. So in college, I went to school for media communications, emphasis in audio production, and I needed a internship to graduate. And so I didn't have a car, and Nashville is about 3.5 hours away from Lexington, Kentucky. That's where I was going to school. And I found these guys online on a website, and they were a band named Unspoken, and they were like, hey, we're needing help on the road. If someone wants to help, reach us here. And so I reached them, and they're like, okay, meet us downtown Nashville, like 6 a.m. We're going to hit the road. And I was like, okay. So then I didn't have a car, so I hitchhiked with a couple of my friends from Lexington to Nashville, and waited in a parking lot at 6 a.m. in the morning for this band to show up to help me get on the road. So here am I with a backpack and a Volkswagen Jetta just circles around me in this empty parking lot.
Right.
And I was like, I have no idea. It's just me. I've never been to Nashville at this point in time.
It's like a little Hollywood, man. I mean,
and these guys circle and come back around and stop. And they were like, hey, you Marcus? I was like, yeah, are you guys Unspoken? They're like, yep. They were like, all right, you got middle back seat. And so I jumped in the middle back seat and then went on the road with them for two weeks. Okay. What I learned was on that trip was why they circled was like, they didn't know what I look like. And all they had was a tiny space in the middle back seat.
Right.
So like, if this was going to be a big dude, they were just going to leave me and go. But I
was going to say something about the middle back seat. So you went on tour with them, and like, did that kind of spark the, hey, I'm going to start my own kind of?
So I went on tour with them. Went on tour with them. It gave me the opportunity of learning so much more from outside the classroom into the real world environment.
Absolutely.
While I made friends with them, they soon became a band that has a #1 song on the Billboard. Right. They have 2 tour buses. They grew with themselves. Sure. I was still in college, and then I came back to Nashville and worked with Martina McBride and John McBride in the country scene. And I had I got the opportunity of working everybody with Dolly Parton, Tim McGraw, Kesha, a lot of A-level artists in the studio at this point in time. So I had the road experience, I had the studio experience, and then soon after that I learned was like, man, I love creating music, but I also love going and being a part and seeing what the audiences I enjoy. So I love the road and being with the artists more than just sitting behind and recording. And so I took that on myself to be the best sound guy, best bus guy, best merch guy, best case pusher, coffee guy, and traveled and toured with all these artists. And while I did that, I made a lot of friends with them. And my brain just doesn't sit at like, what am I doing good, but also what can I be better at? And while you travel with artists, you start learning that you're very business minded. You got to keep accounts. You got to keep, the cash flow going, in charge of a lot of people, moving pieces, doing it over and over again.
Sure.
And one of the artists named Mark Schultz, he's a Christian artist, platinum selling, was like, hey, man, I love when you're on the road with me, but I also think you'll be super valuable if you come back in the office on Monday morning and help manage my career, looking at getting me the next record deal, next book deal, anything that has to do with branding. And I was like, okay, sure, okay. So I got in the office, and an amazing company named Mike Atkins Entertainment that have been around for 30 years. And they have a lot of A-level artists, like platinum artists. I started learning from the best of the best and kind of managing the careers, record deals, music, film, TV, cruises, anything that they were a part of.
Right.
And I just loved it so much that my brain, it just clicked.
Sure.
And then it came to a point where I was working at Atkins. I just hit a ceiling where I was like, just going at it, that I had to decide, do I need, so I was still touring, which is basically I would leave on Thursday to Monday morning, going with all these artists.
So you're looking at leaving Atkins because your time is kind of run out there, right? So
I come and run out. I need to jump. I had a little boy that was born. I
Mm-hmm.
had a little baby. And the first 3 months of his life, I was only home for 15 days. I was just
Wow.
like
Yeah.
slammed. I was like, I need to step back and just take a breath. I did not have a plan of starting Rixon Entertainment. I was going to just step back and find a job at another record label
Sure.
or another
With a
place,
higher
but
ceiling that you could climb. Got it. Okay.
correct, with a higher ceiling. And so I stepped away with no plan in mind.
Sure.
And I said, I'm going to take a month and just debrief myself and find something.
Okay.
Within 7 days, I had 3 job offers from different people.
Right.
And I was like, this is too fast. I still need time. And then the word got around to other artists that I stepped away from my management company. And they were like, we were considering joining your management company because you were there and now you're not there. Will you start your own? I was like, I never really considered that.
Wow.
And so, so within 2 weeks, Rixon Entertainment was born, and I had 5 artists that signed on to me straight away.
Wow.
One being Sailor, which they're
I
on my
know
website, but
yeah, Christian artist.
you know,
Yeah.
Christian, yeah, platinum, like
Big time, right?
millions of, yeah. They were the first one that asked me, so I didn't even consider being I didn't think I was the guy. And then here we are. Last November, Rixon won 5 Dove Awards within our own company, and the Doves are like the Grammys to Christian music.
Right.
Within a small team, I was able to do that. I still work in country music and pop music, and still helping artists build that. But that was the birth of Rixon Entertainment.
That's awesome, man. That's just perseverance to the hilt. And like what you said, like you were going above and beyond what you were supposed to be doing when you were on that tour bus and everything else. And that got you noticed by Schultz, and Schultz is like, hey man, you need to come in here. And then when you left, like people saw that's amazing. An amazing example of perseverance. So let me ask you something. If you saw the movie Back to the Future?
Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Let's get in that DeLorean with Michael J. Fox, right? Or Marty McFly. Sorry.
Marty.
Let's get in that DeLorean with Marty. Let's go back to the 20-year-old Marcus Rixon. What kind of knowledge nuggets, that's what we call him here at Time to Shine Today, what kind of knowledge nuggets would you drop on Marcus to maybe help him level up, blast through, or shorten the learning curve just a little bit?
When I was a 20-year-old, I was so focused on like my dream, and like this is the only path to get to my dream. And the path was to go become go to a school that had audio engineering and things like that.
Sure.
But the older I got, I realized there are other ways to get to that dream. If I'm the best bus guy, I'm the best lighting guy, the best store manager, the best manager, I learned that there are so many other places that I could be better at and open the door. So I would tell that Marcus, a 20-year-old, I was discouraged, I was disappointed, I wasn't going to a college for 2 years out of high school where all my other friends were already in there. And so it was probably my darkest place in my life period, from the age of 18 to 20. But my parents, man, I would say appreciate family and appreciate people that are around you. I think at that point in time, I knew what was best for myself, and I did, but the people around me knew my potential.
Sure.
So listen to people, and
Love
those people kept me on track. So if it wasn't for those people, I wouldn't be where I am.
Love it that you're paying homage to them. That's fantastic. So how do you want your dash remembered? That little line in between your life date and your death date, incarnation date, expiration date. How do you want Marcus's dash remembered? Quickly.
You know what? What I would want people to remember is here's a kid that grew up in a place that wasn't built for success. And here is where he got to living beyond the box. I'm outside my box right now. I'm living beyond my dream. So I want people to realize that anything is possible as long as you put in hard work and it pays off.
Yes, absolutely. So what do you think then people misunderstand the most about Marcus?
Misunderstand. I think some people, I consider myself the underdog, as you can see.
Rightfully
I'm
so. Absolutely.
I'm an Indian guy in Nashville, Tennessee, managing Christian and country artists.
I was going to go there, actually, Marcus, with that stereotype. I was going to go there. So go on, brother. I want to hear about this.
And so I've been labeled as the brown kid in Christian music, all right, or the brown kid in country music. But here's the thing, bro. I embrace it, and I've worked with people all over because they remember, hey, what's that one kid that does that and he's really good at it? So people look at me as an underdog before they know who I am and actually meet me. So I sometimes the doors don't open easier for me in a place that's well established.
Sure.
But once the door is open, I'm not leaving.
Game on, baby. Game on. So
and so that's my biggest misunderstanding. People, do not take me seriously the first time.
They take that smile and like, oh, we could stop, especially Nashville, dude. I have friends that, have tried to make it there, and it can be brutal. And for you, once you get in, that's the way I am too. If someone lets me in just a little bit, I'm staying, man. That's awesome. So then what keeps Marcus up at night?
My brain. Oh my goodness. What keeps me up is how can I get better? But also I love serving people. So if you come to me with a problem, my mind does not shut off till I kind of help you either figure out the problem or go find somebody that can help us figure out the problem. So what keeps me up is just, man, I love what I do. So I don't wake up thinking I'm going into a job.
Right.
I wake up going like, I'm a dreamer. So every day when I'm like, oh, tomorrow's gonna be cool. So that keeps me up. And I'm trying to think of all the things that I can do tomorrow or the day after. But it's not a stressful thought. Like, I don't go to sleep stressed. I go to sleep with like, oh man, what a cool opportunity. I'm gonna be in Tokyo. I'm gonna be in Tokyo in 2 months doing this Olympic thing. Oh man, what can I do in Tokyo while I'm there? So that's what keeps me up, is like how active and how creative.
You're living life, bro. That's what, get busy living or get busy dying, right? The good old Shawshank Redemption quote, but that's the truth, and you're living that. That's fantastic. So Marcus, then what would your definition of a life well lived be? Because you've lived one, bro.
Leaving a legacy for my kids and my family, that when they look back, be like, Marcus took the little that he had and was able to leave a legacy that blessed more than what he could give back, and for that to last down generations. And I'm not talking about wealth. I'm talking about putting characteristics into people, loving on people, and being remembered as the person that went above and beyond for me, even they didn't have to, or it could be a stranger.
Sure.
And so that would be something. I don't, wealth is here and gone tomorrow. I came from nothing. Wealth is nothing. But if I can change one kid's life and help them dream again, like my son is an extension of someone else believing in me when I was 3 years old and letting me go to school.
Right.
So that person's blessing is now going down generations.
Dude, you nailed it with that, because my whole goal in life, and you're already living this, and the people that actually gave you that opportunity when you're younger, they're planting seeds of trees that they'll never sit in the shade in. You know what I'm saying? That's what I strive to do, because there's people, brother, that are passed on and they haven't been able to see what I've become and what I'm helping others become. And you're doing that. And I love that. And squad, we're going to take my good friend Marcus Rixon here, baller rock star Marcus Rixon, through our Leveling Up Lightning Round just as soon as we get back from thanking our sponsors and affiliates. Hey, time to shine today, podcast Varsity Squad. We're back with my boy Marcus. And Marcus, we have our Leveling Up Lightning Round. You and I could talk 15, 20 minutes on each one of these, but you've got 5 seconds with no explanations on these. You ready to rock?
Let's go.
Let's do it. Let's level up. Marcus, what's the best leveling up advice you've ever received?
Treat someone like you would treat yourself.
Golden rule, baby. Awesome. Share one of your personal habits that contributes to your success.
Oh, goodness. Man, I always walk into the door with no wanting to. Let me take that back. I always walk in with what can I give, then what can I take.
Yes. Awesome. You see me, I'm just kind of walking around, my shoulders slumped. You're like, Fergie's just not feeling it. Looks like he's in his doldrums. What book are you handing me?
You know what? I'm not a big book guy,
Okay.
but I'll suggest a podcast,
Okay.
like yours, or I'm usually, I love Business Wars. I don't know if you've
Oh yeah, I
ever
love
heard this
Business
podcast.
Wars. Okay.
That keeps me
Yeah.
entertained to kind of learn from other people's experiences. So I'm like, hey, man, just check this out.
Love it. Love it.
That. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Love it. Thank you, man. So when you text, what's your most commonly used emoji?
Oh my, it's the big smiley face.
Big smiley face. I love it. Chess or checkers?
Chess.
Love it. I suck at it, but I'm trying. So
I'm Indian, bro.
So what's your favorite charity and or organization you'd like to give your time or money to?
One Child, the organization that I was sponsored through, and now I'm an ambassador for them. So I've helped them connect with big influencers, and through my story, we've gotten thousands of kids sponsored.
That's awesome. That's going to be on our show notes right at the top.
Yeah.
Awesome. Last question. You can elaborate on this one, but what is the best decade in music? 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s?
Oh my goodness. So
I'm asking.
I was a 90s kid. So I was a 90s kid so the music influenced me in the 90s to learn and be a part of it. But I'm a classic rock guy, so I love the 80s stuff.
I heard you say the Eagles.
The Eagles.
Dude, that's my band.
I have two songs I can tell you that are the reasons why I'm in music industry.
Let's hear them.
One is Hotel California, just because of the line, and the other one is Sweet Child of Mine by Guns N' Roses.
GNR.
I just love that piece of music and the piece of art. And then the older I got, obviously I love a lot of Beatles stuff. But,
gotcha. I love Beatles. You ever see Martina McBride anymore?
I have not, because I haven't gone to the studio in a while, but actually the other day, I know exactly where her husband gets Mexican food at. And I had just pulled out while John pulled back in because to get his food. And so we saw each other through the car windows and did this. Right. But no, I haven't seen Martina.
If you ever see her, tell her that I still haven't washed the right cheek where she gave me a kiss. And she came on the USS Kitty Hawk when I was in the Navy in 1992 or 3. And she put on a performance along with other country bands. And that's when My Baby Loves Me Just the Way That I Am was out, right? Mm-hmm. And she, I was I worked with part of the security team for where she was staying in one of the staterooms on the aircraft carrier. And she needed an iron. And I went and got in the iron, and I handed it to who I thought was her assistant or publicist, but it was her. But she was all dressed down in sweats and stuff. It's still very pretty. And she gave me a kiss, and she's like, and then the Master Chief's like, hey, Martina McBride gave you a kiss on the cheek. So I was like, oh, that's cool. But if you ever see her, just be like, hey, this guy was on the USS Kitty Hawk, and you put on a performance in San Diego, California, and it was really cool, man. That's cool that you said that. But yeah.
Wow. I can totally see her doing that. She's just one of those people who just loves on other people around them. Right. Just embraces them.
Yes.
I wouldn't share that story with John, but
I know. Yeah, I wouldn't either. But no, she was so polite, so nice, so nice.
That's so cool.
Marcus, quickly leave us with one last knowledge nugget you want us to take with us, internalize, and take action on.
I'm gonna repeat my my little saying about, if you can walk into a room and be like, hey, here's what I want to give to people. And what I mean about a room, it could be a relationship, it could be a meeting, it could be anything that you walk into. Be like, hey, here's what I want to give from my side without needing something in return. Mm-hmm. People remember that so much more than walking into a space. Be like, hey, what can you give me today? What knowledge can I take from you? What finances can you help me with? People start pushing those people aside. But once you are known as the giver, people just embrace that and want to be a part of that and remember you. And that's been a key to my success, is like, I never had anything. So now when I do, I'll bless 10 people with me because it doesn't hurt me. It was never mine.
Right.
And so if I can pay for your meal, I'll do it all the time.
Love it.
I never think about, and that's the Indian me. That was something new. When I came here, people like, okay, you pay for this, you pay for this. I'm like, well, if we're eating together, I called you out, I'm paying for it today. Next time you call me out, you pay for it.
Gosh.
And people just remember that, and that's just different.
You give until it hurts so good. That's fantastic. And Squad, you just had like a free masterclass with a very successful human being, my good friend Marcus Rixon. You know, I affectionately call him this like a person that I know personally now, their white tiger story. You know, he's very humble. You know, being in India, really just he says what my good friend Leah Woodford would say is he got his asking gear. He was always asking questions. Something interested him. He was always asking questions. The perseverance in this gentleman is just absolutely fantastic. You know, it's like, don't focus so much, he says, on what you are good at. Focus on what you can get better at. You know, and that will open to other paths and dreams for you to be even better and serve more people. You know, he wants you to always appreciate your family and the people around you. He wants you to live beyond your box and realize that if you work your arse off, the hard work will pay off. You know, and he's going to leave a legacy for his kids and his kids' kids and on down the road, because there's people that have left a legacy for him. And again, like we say, you know, he's planting seeds of a tree that he may never sit in the shade of, and he's totally fine with that. He's okay with that. You know, and he wants you to give until it hurts so good without expecting anything in return. But on the flip side of that with Marcus, and I'm sure you'll agree, is that you have to be open to the reciprocation. Don't expect it, be open to it. It might not come monetarily. It might just come in a new friendship. It might just come in a compliment someone pays you. The other day it came in my goddaughter actually calling me to talk to me without wanting something. You know, so it's like, Marcus, you're fantastic. You level up your health. You level up your wealth. You're always... You've earned your varsity letter squad with me, man. I have a great friend there in Nashville that I promise the next time I'm there, I'm going to look up and take you to dinner. You heard that right. I'm taking you to dinner. And thank you so much, brother. I love your guts. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you so much, Scott. And thank you for everybody for listening in. And what a blessing. Thank you so much.
Talk soon, Marcus.